So we are now live. This is going to be a very informative conversation with Yasmin Shiraz, a multi talented, multifaceted African American queen, content creator, an award winning filmmaker and author, creator of the Black TV Film Crew, which I am a member of on Facebook. It is an absolutely amazing group. And if you are someone who is a content creator, be you male or female, whatever genre. So we are going to get started. So, Miss Yasmin Shiraz, the first question that I always like to ask my guests is the how did you get started question. So, how did you get started?
Oh my gosh. I feel like, you know how they say like a cat has nine lives? I feel like I've had nine careers in the entertainment business. I really do. I mean, I got started initially as a hip hop magazine publisher. I used to own a magazine straight out of college called Mad Rhythms. And just, I love music so much and I love writing, and I wanted to figure out, how could I blend my love of music and my love of writing together? And so I started, Mad Rhythms magazine. It went out to, 100 colleges. I wanted to help people become interns and get their foot in the business. I created a tour called How to Get into the Entertainment Business, which in its own way is sort of the infancy of really what Black TV Film Crew is today. I would go and speak to 30 to 60 colleges a year, helping people get into the entertainment business. This is straight out of college. I mean, I'm talking about the ink on the degree is barely there, okay? Barely there, okay? Like they could have even snatched it back, technically.
Okay.
And so I get started, I start doing that. And while I'm doing these How to Get into the Entertainment Business tour, people are coming up to me and asking me, well, I don't get along with my parents. I'm struggling with my professor. What do you have to say about that? I started writing down some of those questions, my responses. I went back to my journals that I had as a kid, and I put together this book called The Blueprint for My Girls. What was so interesting about that is I send this book out to 100 agents. All of them was like, you don't know what you're talking about. Young girls don't need to hear about this, and that. So I went ahead and said, you know what? I published a magazine, like not the blogs of today, the full paper that you turn into pages. Okay, people, let's keep it real. And so I said, how hard is it to go from printing a magazine to publishing a magazine to publishing a book? It can't be that difficult. Again, I did have a degree at that time, right? So I published The Blueprint for My Girls, and I remember being out on a corner in Harlem one dark and stormy night. No, it was one hot and humid summer day at the Harlem Book Fair. And I'm out there, get this blueprint for my girls. Hot off the presses, your girl, Yasmin Shiraz, And I'm doing all of that. And I remember that was a Saturday. I had on these nice khaki shorts, a little tank top, nice macrame see-through shirt. I was hooked up.
Okay, you were ready.
I was ready. And that Monday, I had an email from Simon & Schuster saying, we want to do this and publish this book with you worldwide.
Wow.
And that's how I got my first book deal.
Wow.
And so from there, I went from books to, I'm always speaking and going out. I got my idea for my first film, Can She Be Saved? That ended up going into about 30 festivals, dealing with teen girl fights. And so my work has always been about whatever path that I've been on and what where my life has taken me. So it's like, other people can be inspired by what somebody else is doing. And I think that's great. I've been inspired so much by where my own life has taken me. I mean, I remember when I started my first business, Mad Rhythms, I remember being in graduate school and I had this situation where I got a B for a final grade that I knew I was supposed to get an A on. And I called my professor from Hampton, and I remember going, I feel like I've been robbed. Like, I know it's a B, but like, I legit feel like I did all this extra credit. I'm going to the office hours asking for clarification. Like, I feel like I've been robbed. And my professor said, if you feel like you deserve the A, you should fight for it. And so this was the first time going up against an administration at the university level and saying, hey, I feel like I deserve an A. So, I got my Matlock on, my Perry Mason, all the old school, attorney type deal. And I went in there and I fought for my grade. And it was so interesting, Floyd, because the day that I went in, I got books under both arms. I got notes. I got pencils sticking out of my afro, like everything, And so I go and I sit down. I'm ready, man. I got a defense in my head. Like, they should have sent me to law school. That's how serious my defense is. And they were like, we're going to change your grade. I was like, wait, I didn't get to mount my defense. Johnny Cochran, hold on. Wait a minute. I still got people that I got to call for what I'm doing. Hold on now. Thurgood Marshall. I got all the spirit of these people in my brain. Like, hold on
here. So you got the spirit of the ancestors behind you.
That's exactly right. And so it was like there was no way with all of my extra credit that I couldn't have received the grade of an A, and they changed the grade. But where it awakened me as an entrepreneur is that after all this is done, they tell me to change the grade, and I'm sort of deflated because it's like I got the outcome, but I didn't get to do my Thurgood Marshall. You know what I'm saying? Get to slam no gavel. Like, nothing got to happen really for me in terms of what I did. My professor who was basically trying to cheat me, basically says, sticks his hand out to shake my hand and says, you won. And for me in that moment, I'm in Kentucky. I went to a little school called Morehead State for my graduate degree. And I'm sort of like, I won. And of course, I didn't have to take no more classes from him, so I did not shake his hand. Let's be clear about that point.
Right.
But it was like, for him, it was a game. This was my career. This is what will be on my transcript forever, ever. It was a game. And I just said to myself, I remember walking down the steps and saying that I had support from my family. I had my professors from Hampton supporting me. My husband, who was my fiance at the time, was supporting me. I was just like, for somebody to have as much support as I have, and then somebody still trying to play you, I want my work and my career to be about service to people, helping people that maybe nobody is willing to help. And that has always been the thread through, if anything you look at, whether it's my retaliation book, everything that I did, a film that appeared, a docu-special for on PBS, Growing Up Positive. It is always some thread about being in service to other people. And so that's sort of how in Black TV Film Crew is really about helping people that nobody is really checking for in a lot of ways. Right. But why can't we check for each other and really build a movement amongst ourselves?
So let's go back to college. So was that was your major in college, or was that just something that was on your heart and you decided that, hey, you know what, that's what I'm going to do, since you had such an interest in it?
I was originally a journalism major, and I remember, being in Hampton as a freshman, going to a journalism class, and the professor was like, you got to dress a certain way, you got to have your hair done to wear, you got to have your lipstick, and I was like, that sounds super superficial. I was like, this must not be for me. And I changed my degree to sociology. And so I actually have 2 degrees in sociology, a minor in criminology, because I wanted to be able to talk to people. I wanted to be able to look at somebody, whether you were from a rich background, a poor background, whether you were educated, uneducated, whether you were, from a foreign country, or where you were from the U.S. And I wanted to be able to speak your language. And I don't know if you've ever looked at a news program and somebody's baby just died, and you got the journalist sticking the microphone in somebody's face, completely clueless of the dynamics of that person's life and culture. And so sociology gave me that sort of background so that I'd never be one of those people.
So how ooh, yes,
kind of crazy, but you know what I'm saying,
yes,
though.
I've seen those news programs. You're like, wow, really? Okay. How empathetic of you. So so how have those degrees helped you with your filmmaking and your novel writing?
Wow. Well, I would say in my filmmaking, and I'm actively a TV producer. So I just wrapped. I produce Intervention on A&E. I produce Accident, Suicide, Murder, which is on its second season on Lifetime.
Mm.
So I've actively worked as a TV producer out here in Los Angeles. So my degree certainly helped me because I work a lot of times in the true crime space.
Okay.
And so I'm able to use that criminology training in terms of understanding blue collar crimes, white collar crimes. I have a Rolodex of, district attorneys, criminal lawyers, different people like that. So being able to study the law from a, sort of in a way where, in a journalistic way, of someone who wants to write about it and know about it, that gives me an upper hand as a TV producer in the true crime space, right? Because I'm able to call somebody. I remember working on a case where a daughter, the husband killed the daughter, but he told everybody she killed herself. I'm able to, as someone who studied criminology, get on that phone with that victim's mother and have such an empathetic conversation that whatever I need her to do, send me baby photos, share whatever, they feel that comfort with me because I am absolutely rooting for that family. And so having that sort of understanding of the criminal justice system and having my degree in that has really helped me in the true crime space. So I want to say that I did a film that I ended up pitching to PBS and as a docu special on HIV. Again, here I am, somebody who wants to talk to young people about being born with HIV. You don't know me. You don't know how I'm going to honor your story. You don't know how I'm going to, am I going to say something that you don't want? Like, how's it going to go down? So sociology has given me the training to, again, whatever I know what you're saying and what you're not saying. So say, for example, things that someone might say they're uncomfortable with and they're willing to tell you, we hear. But I'm also that person who can feel and sense, what are you uncomfortable with that you're not telling me?
Right.
And a lot of things with sociology, understanding the family, understanding how economics plays a role, education, all of that is sort of tools of the trade for me that when I'm talking to somebody, if they grew up in a religious background or not, it gives me an upper hand because I really understand where you're coming from. So those sorts of dynamics, I think, help me as a TV producer and a documentary filmmaker, certainly. And I think if I'm writing a novel or I'm doing a narrative piece, or now I'm in a writer's room for a network right now, I have sort of that blend of my own real life experiences backed up with statistical, like I know how to read a news story and pull something out of it that's authentic. So that's what I'm saying. Like, now everybody don't need to go to school. I don't think everybody needs to go to college. I will say that. But I will say for me, sociology has really helped me because I understand how to connect to people in a way that they know I'm not trying to take advantage of their story. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Scapegoat them. So it's been really a great foundation for me in terms of conversation, in terms of research. And when I go into a room and I'm being interviewed, whether it's true crime, real life, whatever, I'm able to really pull from those classes of sociology and say, this is what I bring to the table.
So you say that you are an active television producer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is a conversation for women of color who are in the independent film making space.
Yeah.
So the question that I have for you is there a large number? Do you see a lot of people that look like you in that space? And actually, how did you get into that space?
It's a very interesting story. I don't see a lot of people who look like me in the space when I'm on, and would say I'm in a set. So say I've just done a show for Lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I recently came from a show that I did with Lifetime, and there were two African-American women working on that show. For me, that was the first time that I worked on a show where there were two Black people working on that show at the same time.
Wow.
In sort of pre-production. So they might be in casting, research, story producer, that type of deal. First time. Okay. So I was just like, we're connected for life because,
we're sisters.
I literally had, we're sisters, right? And so that was something that was very important. That doesn't happen to me. So I'm often the only a person of color who's, at a production office on a particular show. I'm used to it. It does feel awkward, sometimes, like when you look around, but that's sort of the case. So now, are they in other positions? Absolutely.
Yes.
But what I have found is when you're on a show, in terms of diversity, and say if there are 10 people working on that show, there may be one African American in some position on that show. It's not like 2 or 3 for the most part. That hasn't been my experience. Let me say that. That hasn't been my experience.
So do you think that affects, now I've watched A&E. I like the channel. I like the content that A&E has on their channel. But do you think with there being such a low, now you can answer this any way you want because they employ you. So do you think with there being such a small amount of representation in the production of a show that it affects how the show is actually made? Is there a lack of sensitivity when you're actually putting together a show where the families may be African American? Or does that really matter? Or is it that the people are just basically looking to put on a quality product or put out a quality product?
Let me make a clear thing. I'm hired by production companies who have deals with the network. So I'm not actually employed by A&E. So that's one. So people work for the production. So that's fine. So yeah, I can say whatever. But at the same time, generally I have found a lot of people in television are sensitive people. They're creative people. So you're not going to, not to throw, say, an accountant under the bus or some stereotypical person who's not sensitive. But for the most part, like when I'm working on a show, especially if I'm working on a show with a sensitive topic, everybody on that show has some type of sensitive background, and so therefore they are sensitive to the subject matter. I don't care if they're Black, brown, white, I don't care who they are sensitive to it. I have to say that about my brethren and sistren in TV production for the most part. Now, will I also say though that I think having diversity on shows like, say, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Potomac, having producers of color would help the storylines, would help some of the stuff, appear more authentic or what have you. Absolutely, because the writers and the producers are going to also want to look out for the culture.
Right.
So that diversity angle is always helpful. So I'm looking at a show right now, and, you have African Americans in the show. I'm looking at them where I'm like, okay, did they grow up in the South? Okay, how can I connect with them if they grew up from the South? Okay, are they religious? Are they Christian? Okay, what's my angle from that? Now, I'm not saying a non-Black producer would not understand that there's a huge story when it comes to somebody being Black, living in the South, who is religious. I'm not saying that they automatically don't understand that, but what I'm saying is I do understand that.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So there's always going to be that element where if someone who is working to produce a show that's dealing with a culture that they're not familiar with, and it doesn't have to be because they don't look like it. That means, I'm saying, if they haven't done the research on it, they haven't studied it, they're just going to be gaps, knowledge gaps, basically. and that's going to come across. I wrote a piece on Black TV film crew called 7 Things, Dear Non-Black Friend, 7 Things Your Black Friend Wants You to Know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really talking about how, like, I have, white allies. I've always had white allies in my career. And in television, I really have a lot of white allies that'll call me and say, hey, so-and-so's hiring. I told them about you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't tell you, like, I get interviews. I mean, I apply for jobs, but I do get called.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those calls are because of my white allies.
Mm-hmm.
And when George Floyd was murdered in front of everybody, I felt compelled to write an article to my white allies, essentially,
mm-hmm.
and share it. And so, again, can someone who's not Black produce that show? Sure. If they are doing the research
right.
and connecting and being authentic. And when I shared this to one of my friends, she shared it to her friends. And so now they're also my allies, because they had to be able to understand, you work alongside me. I have a 17-year-old Black son.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I want you to know about how I feel right now.
Right.
And so it's not simply the color of our skin, it's the depth of our knowledge. Since this diversity kick, no disrespect to anybody, but I got to keep it real. I have Black people who are trying to headline diversity campaigns who the only thing diverse about them is their skin color.
Yes.
They know nothing about diversity. Okay? And I'm looking dead into the camera. You know who you are. No joke. Diversity is not just your skin color. It's understanding the layers of which. How is this playing out? How does it play in our hiring practices? How does it play out in terms of how we represent the culture? Mm-hmm. How does it play out in terms of our storytelling, our corporate culture, if you're talking about a business? So you have people who literally don't understand that, but because they're Black,
right?
It's like, well, I've been Black all my life. Yeah. Okay.
Black
Good for
goes
you.
more than skin deep, as they say. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. And we have seen this play out over and over again. And a perfect example of that is the AG in Kentucky. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Because what he has done is reprehensible. But, as they say, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. So yes, I myself have run across numerous people in Black skin that are not Black. Someone just said over and over. And, it is what it is. It's really nothing you can do about it. But, and, I'm the type of person where I like the fact that you expose yourself. Because, see, now I know who and what you are and what I'm dealing with. So when I see you, I know how to, attack that issue. But let's move on to
Floyd, real quickly,
sure.
Before you go on,
mm-hmm.
How can I tell my people that I'm on with you? Because on Facebook right now, what is the thing that they should be checking?
Oh, they should be in, if they go to Independent Film Association of Philadelphia.
So is it IF? Is it your initials? Like
yeah. Well, IFAP.
Okay. Because what's coming up for me is International Fashion Academy of Pakistan.
Oh no.
Okay, so
Independent Film Association of Philadelphia. They may have to.
Let me just try to find it. Okay.
I am there.
Yeah, National Film. International Film.
Independent Film Association of Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me see.
I just wanted to. Sorry about that. I think I put.
No.
I just want to make sure. Okay, here we go. Okay, all right. Okay, so now if I click this, I'm just trying to see right now. Yeah, here we go. So are we on here? Okay, let me just see here. All right, here we go. So can I share this though? It's on. All right. I'm just gonna have them go to your page. Because I do not see our live. Even though we're live, I don't see the live on here.
Really? I'm trying to...
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying with Facebook. Like, I'm trying to see if it's up here as an event. It's not, I mean, But no, let's keep on. Let's keep on. Oh, wait a minute. Here it is right here. Oh, okay. Wait, I
Yes,
found it. Okay.
that's me.
Share now to your story. Oh, no, I'm going to do this one. Wait a minute. Can I just? Oh, okay. Wow. I just share it to your timeline. Okay, let's keep talking. Because I can share and talk at the same time
Okay.
because I'm talented is why.
Yes. So, well, thank you, Lou. Thank you, Tone. Yeah. So, where are they? Tell them to get on. Tell them to get on in here.
That's exactly.
Get on in here because you guys are missing on out on some phenomenal gem dropping knowledge that Miss Shiraz is sharing with all of us. But
Yeah.
and we're going to be here for a little while longer.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk a little bit about the Black TV film crew and how that came about
Uh-huh.
because that I am in a lot of groups,
Mm,
film groups on Facebook. I'll just say
mm,
that. But
mm,
I am not in a lot of film groups that are serious about what they're doing. I am not in a lot of, and that's it is what it is. I'm
mm-hmm.
not in a lot of film groups where you are getting workable knowledge of things that you can actually implement
Mm-hmm.
immediately into your filmmaking
Mm-hmm.
creativity. You know
Mm-hmm.
how you're
Mm-hmm.
learning things like that. So, how did that come about?
What happened with Black TV Film Crew is, is our birthday is the day after the election for 2016. So I'm going to actually have a little birthday party and get a
Oh,
cupcake.
okay.
Yes, I am. So what happened was the day after Trump got elected,
Oof.
I woke up and I was like, Black folk gonna need some help.
Mm.
What can I do? And I literally created Black TV Film Crew as a event, a networking group to connect people with talking about what's going on in the industry. I get leads on jobs, international stuff. Like I have some people in London that send me things, and it was really to for people to share jobs and share networking and things. But one thing that I've noticed about myself, it's not just the job that I get or the jobs that I have, it's the experiences that I have that I feel like I need to share so that people can become empowered by them, but also know that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's sharing the story of having 100 rejection letters for a book that then becomes a national bestseller, or I'm talking about how long it's taken me to get into a writer's room to finally get on a writer's room, whether it's saying I independently shot this film as a documentary and then I got it on PBS. My stories, my personal stories, have always been about, if you're not going to let me in the door, I'm going to find a door anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of us in our careers wait for other people to open the door. So many of us wait for other people to validate us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do network, I share jobs, I'm promoting other people on Wednesdays and Fridays in our group where we interview people. But I'm also trying to share those stories of triumph and perseverance and dedication because it's a lonely road. And a lot of times people think that they believe the
Mm-hmm.
naysayers. They believe the people that tell you that you cannot. And so I want to be that voice in a community that says you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to cheer you on because you need it and we need to see it. And so that's really what Black TV Film Crew is all about. I just wish that more people, Black folks, really not in mouth talk, not in lip service, but really believed in supporting other Black people.
Yes.
Like we talk that talk. I can't tell you the times that I've been hazed by other Black people professionally
Mm-hmm.
who outwardly would seem very pro-black.
Yes.
Yeah, you're pro-black until someone else black you're threatened by.
Right.
So there's this element about us that we can, fight the power and all this type of stuff. But really, when it comes to giving somebody else another opportunity, we are really hesitant about sharing that information.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to be somebody who said we can share it. And even if Black TV Film Crew doesn't reach every goal that I have, it is the seed that it has planted in the space of what is possible. I'm proud Chuck Creekmer from allhiphop.com was one of my interns. I have people in allhiphop.com. They're based in, he's from Delaware. Mm-hmm. I'm from Delaware. It's one of the biggest hip hop, thing. And he used to write articles for my very first business. Mm. I have so many people who have been interns of mine who've gone to grow up and blow up. Mm. So for me, it's about planting the seed of what's possible. And if somebody else takes this seed and waters it and turns this plant into a freaking 500-year oak tree that feeds the community, I'm happy about it. But understand, at some point, the seed had to be planted. So that's the origin of Black TV Film Crew.
And it is a phenomenal seed because, as I said, I belong to quite a few film groups, but a lot of them are not as impactful as Black TV Film Crew. And, the way that I normally do it, you just see a film group, it's got black in it. Oh, I'm a join, because you're thinking that, okay, it's a Black film group, so we're all going to get together and we're going to uplift each other and we're going to do what we need to do to level each other up and to move each other forward. But so often, and unfortunately and sadly, that is not the case. And sometimes I had to find that out the hard way. Now, I was guilty of this early on, where with myself, it was a criticism thing as opposed to a critiquing thing, something where you're supposed to be helping someone to better themselves, but you're basically tearing them down. And the thing that I like about your group is you don't see that. Everyone is in there for one reason and one reason only, and that's to grow, to network, to become better, which, and frankly, that should be everyone's goal. Because, like you said, oftentimes they ain't gonna give you a seat at the table. They are not. And I just read something interesting the other day on LinkedIn. Someone put up this meme with Shirley Chisholm. She said, if they won't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. And so often we have to bring a folding chair, but it's kind of messed up that you have to bring a folding chair to Black folks' tables, which is crazy, because if you're doing well and I'm doing well, we should be hooking up so somebody else that's not as further along as us should be doing well. But so often that's not the case. So can you speak to that in your opinion, as someone who's been in this space for a minute? In your opinion, why do you think that is?
There's a real sense of threat, and I don't know, threat, intimidation, somebody outshining somebody. There's just this real, fear that if I let somebody else in, we're so used to being the only Black person in wherever we are. We're the only Black person in the room. We're the only Black person at this production company. We're the only Black person. So then, because we have been socialized to believe and to be used to, we're the only Black one. Mm-hmm. When some other person comes in that's equally as talented or perhaps even has a different skill, well, gosh, we don't, no. We don't want to take away, we don't want them to take away what we have. Mm-hmm. And so that's a real issue. I think it is a lot of insecurity, and there's a lot of and to be real, it's a lot of backstabbing going on.
Mm-hmm.
You have people who are not going to honor. They're so busy trying to shine. They're not trying to honor, what your relationship is,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Wherein with my white allies, they see me as, okay, this is something unique that Yasmin brings to the table. They're not threatened by me.
Right.
They see what I have as something unique. But if you have two black people, they may not see sometimes, well, what Yasmin has to bring, this is unique. And what I'm bringing, what I have is unique.
Mm-hmm.
So we sort of see ourselves almost lumped together like, well, if there's too many of us, it's a problem. And so that's sort of, what I see and what I feel. And I just think people are very quick because of their thirst.
Mm-hmm.
They're quick to stab people in the back. Whereas for me, I've been an entrepreneur since I got out of college. My husband and I, we were a team. We invested. We did a lot of things. I could walk away from Hollywood today,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I get off this thing and be okay,
Mm-hmm.
and know it. And so I don't have this backstabbing, thirsty, gotta cut somebody's throat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that energy. And so that's why I'm able to be so welcoming in terms of what my platform is about, because I'm not worried that someone's going to stamp out my legacy
Mm-hmm.
because I've given them an opportunity or I help showcase what they do. But there's a real thought where we're afraid that we're not going to make it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if I give this person an opportunity, is that going to take an opportunity?
Yeah.
I think that that's real.
Yeah. And you know what? That is 100% spot on. For some strange reason, they think that, well, if I tell them about this person, then that's going to take away from me. And newsflash, it actually adds to you. Because what it does is it shows the people that you're telling this person about that you are in the circle with the right kind of people. So if Yasmin is telling me about Floyd or whomever, and then I show up and I do the work and I'm professional and I'm on time and, I complete the assignments, whatever it happens to be, or I come to set and I'm off book. The producers, whoever, are going to look at the both of us and say, you know what? Those are two people that we can work with. Do you know someone else with your type of work ethic, your type of standards? So it actually opens more doors. And your film group and the way that it's growing exponentially is a testament to that. Because people understand that this is a safe space that I can go where I'm not going to be judged, where I'm not going to be stabbed in the back. But this is a place where I can actually share what I'm doing, get positive feedback, get positive critique, not criticism, in order for me to level up and grow. And if more of us understood that, we would be so much further along. But it's on folks like you to actually spoon feed them the information.
Well, I mean, it's like when Matthew Cherry did Hair Love, and when he first did his campaign, and I remember when he did The Fall, The Last Fall was his film, and I remember hearing about it, and I went out and I supported him as a filmmaker. And I just liked Matthew for whatever reason. He just seemed like a cool dude. And so then when Hair Love came out, I made sure I put him up on Black TV Film Crew website. I promoted it. I shared it all the way through every way that I could to do it. I've done this for many people in the industry because, and now he has an Oscar. And I'm happy about that. But I take ownership for that Oscar too. Even though it doesn't sit on any shelf that I own. But it was because when he did The Last Fall and he talked about his motivation and when his mother passed and how he was going to sort of honor her memory in pursuing his dreams, he came across as somebody I could believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with supporting people as they're growing. Now, some people are going to become fans of his because of Hair Love.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of his before Hair Love. But in society, not just the African American community, but we have this bandwagon attitude.
Yes.
And it's just a thing where it's just with this diversity thing. So many diversity groups have come up as a result of George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
When Donald Trump was elected, the day after I founded Black TV Film Crew, I submitted for my trademark.
Mm-hmm.
There are people like WAI, that's a group in Los Angeles, based in Los Angeles. The creator of Black Love on OWN, she created that group. That group's been around, I want to say, 15 years, maybe 10 years, just behind the scenes helping us get jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So you have real visionaries doing, her name is Cody. Cody was doing things behind the scenes without the fanfare.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's popular. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. So we have a lot of that where we're not sure, can we support somebody before there's a bandwagon
Mm-hmm.
behind them? And you know, no shame. Some people don't have that gift.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can't tell, you know what I'm saying, a diamond in the rough from a piece of lint. I feel that I can.
Yes.
And that's my gift. So,
yeah.
you know, I mean, I was, you know, a Lena Waithe fan. I remember emailing Lena, wrote a episode, Bones, the TV show. And I remember saying, hey, I want to get into television and blah, blah, and this and that. I was on her before she got her Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
Before, you know what I mean? And so now, everybody's all on Lena.
Mm-hmm.
But I know how to connect with and support somebody before everybody else does it.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be popular. But we struggle with that as people. I think in society on a whole, we're always waiting for somebody's breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
We're waiting for somebody to get through the door, all the while pushing them away from the door.
Yes.
So it's very strange.
Yeah.
It's a very strange sort of, you know, duality. We'll follow them once they break through the door.
Yes.
But if you're near the door, let's push the person away from the door. So it's very strange.
And it's unfortunate. Someone just said it's so often the case where Lou just said that it's so often the case where people who don't know you will support you more than the folks that do. Which is,
well, I mean, I think that's true. I think that's true. But like what I did with Black TV Film Crew, where, you know, we continue to grow the brand. I mean, I have a lot of people from hip hop that I know, a lot of people from entertainment. These TV people are more or less new in my career, but I've owned a marketing company, I've owned a PR company or whatever. So I know all sorts of people.
Mm-hmm.
I just want people who are willing to support other people in our community, you know, and put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah. You're wow, you know, say that again, you know, because it's so true, you know, and we've had this conversation on the other podcast that we were on a couple of weeks ago about support. And with that, I want to talk about what you do on Instagram, because you have a couple of really phenomenal projects that you do during the week. So could you tell the audience
what
about
I tell
that?
you know, audience, I tell you, I hope you've caught it, because I'm telling you, Instagram and their audios, we might be divorcing soon. Marriage was short. It didn't mean to be a shotgun marriage, but it might be. But on Wednesdays, as you know, or as I shared with you off air, I am in therapy twice a month. I lost my husband, it'll be 2 years this month. Unexpectedly, he died from a blood clot. I needed to be in therapy for childhood trauma anyway, but I found that when I lost my husband, I could no longer pretend that everything was okay. And so one of the things that I've noticed in our community is, and I'm talking about the creative community, we have a higher incident of depression. We have a higher incident of mental health issues. Well, then COVID struck. And, we had a young lady, Jazz, who I'd never met, who wrote for This Is Us, Black woman writer, commits suicide. And I just said, I got to do something on our platform to just have a check-in with people, to just talk to people about what's going on. Come on with me. Tell me what you're going through. We're going to sit here and we're going to listen. And so on Wednesday, I do a program called We Love You Wednesdays. And it's basically supposed to be an hour. And like I said, we've been struggling with sound issues, and I'm looking up because I have an iPhone and that's what I've been using. But We Love You Wednesdays. Wednesdays is really to remind you of what day it is, because folk be too busy. But We Love You is to say that you have a community that loves you, that is rooting for you, that you are safe. And that was the sort of idea of We Love You Wednesdays. And so when Chadwick passed, we had a colon cancer survivor, as well as she was a colon cancer survivor and an oncology nurse, meaning her profession is to deal with cancer patients. I found her, and to honor his memory, I asked her to come on with us. And she did on Wednesday. So again, how do we love ourselves? And this is something that for Black folks, I think we don't think about, because we're fighting, we're dealing with finances, we're dealing with dysfunctional families or whatever. But our self-love is what I'm speaking of when I say we love you. So are we getting screened for cancer? Are we doing that? Are we getting our mammograms? Are we getting our colonoscopy? I know people, you probably don't want to hear about it, but we need to hear about it, because how do we stay here? We got to fight to be here. And everybody has to fight here to be here after you get to a certain age. And we've been fighting so long, sometimes we give up. And so on Wednesdays, it's that opportunity to showcase companies, filmmakers, creatives, whoever is doing something to help elevate our community. So we had her on, and she's talking about what the colonoscopy was and how she went into the hospital for one thing. And the doctor said, I think we should do a colonoscopy for you. It was before time for her to do a colonoscopy, and she was at stage 3 cancer for her colon. And this was just July of this year. Wow. She was on with us, I want to say the week after Chadwick passed. So We Love You Wednesdays is really about, like, say somebody has a business that's, doing skincare. They're welcome to come on, because what I'm trying to, the legacy for We Love You Wednesdays is to remind people of color that Black folks, we need to love ourselves. How do we love ourselves? Making sure we're going to the doctor, self-care, reducing stress, taking toxic people out of our lives, not subscribing to toxic relationships. This is how we love ourselves. And so it won't always deal with depression, though I did have a young lady who's doing a web series called Car Therapy. I had her on. We've had 2 documentary filmmakers who did a film called I'm Good Bro that deals with male depression. Again, why is this important? Because where else are you going to go and talk about male depression, but in a platform that's saying to you, it's okay.
Right.
And so that's what we do on Wednesdays. We Love You Wednesdays. And then on Friday, I do something called Family Freestyle Friday. Again, the day is always in the name for me, because I got to remind you people. And then y'all still be like, when's it on? Huh?
What
Family
day is
Freestyle
what day is
Friday.
that? What day is that?
Right.
Friday.
Right.
Yeah, Friday. It's in the title.
Yeah, exactly. So Family Freestyle Friday, again, the platform wasn't for me to come on there and be a talking head. That was not the goal. The goal was to build a platform where other people can be like, this is my project. This is what I'm having. This is what's going on. So we have people, we've had poets, actors doing monologues. Again, businesses can come up there and you're just spitballing, talking about what you're doing. And so that's really, really fun. the Friday that we found out Chadwick passed, we had a poet on who was sharing, a black male poet who was talking, who was doing like some real powerful poetry. And as he's reading this poetry, I get this announcement that Chadwick Boseman has passed. And I just was like, I mean, I just almost shut down. And so we're giving people the platform where they come on, they co-host with me, they share whatever they're doing, and it's just like a love fest. And again, came on COVID and came up with the idea just to be able to be supportive to people and support the community.
So I'm going to go back to Wednesday because that is so important, the therapy aspect, and especially for filmmakers, because rejection is such a constant companion. It beats you down. It really beats you down. And this is one of the reasons why I am so big on physical health and personal development. When I talk to a lot of filmmakers and I ask them, what's your physical health like? Are you exercising? Are you listening to any personal development? Because you have to strengthen your body and your mind to be able to deal with the rigors of a business where 99% of the time, the word that you're going to hear is no. You're putting in an immense amount of work only to have someone tell you, not today. So it's very important, if you're going to be a well-rounded creative, to take care of yourself physically and to take care of yourself mentally and to take care of yourself spiritually. It all goes hand in hand. Freestyle Fridays. This is a perfect opportunity for any filmmaker out there looking to become better at what they do. It is a perfect opportunity for any filmmaker wanting to know exactly where they are in the process. Because see, now you have people that do what you do looking at what you do. You understand what I'm saying? And it's a safe space. So there's no shade being thrown like, that was whack. And who told you to come on? You don't get that. And once again, as someone, and a lot of us in the type of business that we are in, it is extremely important to be in a safe space so that you can go somewhere and say, you know what? I just did this new piece. Let me go on Freestyle Friday to try it out, to see, how it's received, and get some feedback.
Absolutely. And then I've been, I guess, a professional speaker for a long time
Mm-hmm.
now. But I also like to, and I've interviewed, I was at Johnny Cochran's office in New York shortly after the O.J. Simpson case, again, right out of college.
Mm.
I was a go-getter and interviewed him. And I interview people on. And I they don't realize I'm sure the people don't realize all the people that I've interviewed:
Mm-hmm.
Martin Lawrence, Johnny Cochran, Brandy, Lil' Kim,
Oh,
Jay-Z.
wow.
They don't know this because, hey, you only got so much room on your resume, Floyd.
Right.
You only got so much room on your resume.
Yeah.
But I'm up there and I'm teaching you guys, like, hey, let's do this thing. What
Right.
got you started? What's got you so and so? And I want them to feel comfortable with that 1 minute pitch.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thing about? Okay, boom. I had a young lady who's an artist, 6 feet tall, talk about how, nobody wanted her because she was so big.
Mm-hmm.
And that people, they don't realize the bullying that somebody gets, that a woman gets for being tall.
Mm-hmm.
And she was able to tell that story in such a powerful way. And so I interview people. I don't care, small, you got 2 followers or you got 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interviewing you and hoping that somebody is going to see this and see that you are worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people we're creatives, we're introverts, a lot of us, and we don't know how to do that 1 minute pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And on Freestyle Friday, I have this guy, Michael Gordon, the actor. He comes on often and he does these monologues. And I love him. If I ever go to Memphis, Tennessee, I'm hiring him to be in my movie. He'll be in the car. He'll do a monologue. He'll do a monologue from the bathroom. And people, you laugh. But let me tell you, when they go, have you found any good actors during COVID? I'm going, Michael Gordon in Memphis. This guy don't care. He will come on and he'll like, I know you guys, my lighting wasn't good last time, but now it is. I mean, he is dedicated. He's done Fences for us. I don't know if he's done Shakespeare. He just comes on. Wow. That's how hungry he is. And a lot of times we don't get those opportunities. And that's what I want people to see. Like, you know what? I'm going to go on here and I'm going to talk about my project. If we're not tooting our own horns, who's tooting our horn for us? So it's really an opportunity for people to toot their own horn. And I had a young lady, the car therapy, Janelle Williams came on, and she talked about her car therapy series. It is a great opportunity to talk about what you're doing. So now somebody's like, oh man, okay, I met Janelle Williams or I heard her on Black TV Film Crew. You know what? I want to do something. Maybe I can talk with Janelle. That's what it's for. But a lot of times people won't come and speak up. And I be like, listen, all y'all folks who got actor and actress in your Instagram handle, you know who you are. Why haven't I received the email? And I call people out.
That's right.
I'm like, hey, it's who I am. You know what I mean? We're here to support you. And I don't get as much participation as I want. I want it to be like, I got 10 people lined up instead of 2 people. Because why are we not doing that? Why are we not practicing?
Right. It's a perfect, and see, that's the thing. It's a perfect place to do that. It's a safe space. But the thing is this, you will not grow without taking risks. If you are comfortable, there is a problem. I'm going to say that again. If you're comfortable, there is a problem. Now, and I like being comfortable. My wife can tell you that. But in this space, if you're comfortable, there is a problem. If you're not a little antsy, if you're not a little anxious, if you're not a little uncomfortable, then you're not growing. You're stagnant. In this business, comfortability equals stagnation. So if you're sitting there saying, because, okay, let me ask you something. If you're an actor or an actress, actors and actresses have to audition. This is a perfect place to hone your skills. You are basically in front of a group of people looking at what you are doing. So if you're not comfortable enough to come into a safe space where the end game is to get you prepared and to make you better, what makes you think that you are going to be able to go stand in front of a casting director and do a monologue? Because let me tell you something.
Right.
You only get one shot at this. And I'm going to tell you, casting directors have very long memories. I used to be an actor. Casting directors have very long memories. So if you're not on point when you walk in that room, they're not going to tell you. They're going to say, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. Oh, we have your headshot. They ain't going to talk to you. They're going to talk to your agent. They're going to talk to your manager. And guess who's not going to get called anymore? So you got to take advantage of the tools that are being offered. You're a business and you're supposed to make your business better. And if you're not,
I agree with all that. I just think that a lot of times people don't realize it. And everybody, that's not their lane. You know, I remember when I went to Hampton, my parents had just divorced. And I was emotionally, really reeling from my parents' divorce. And I didn't have the confidence that I now have. And so I took a speech class as a freshman at Hampton. And I failed it the first time. And my senior year, I took speech again. And I was like knocking it out the park. And my speech instructor was like, I don't understand how you're in here the second time. I don't get it. What happened?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I was going through something as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And now I let that go. That's my parents' issue. So that's not my burden to carry.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times we don't realize when we have other things that are going on with us, that's the block
Mm-hmm.
from us speaking up for ourselves. So I'm not hard on people who haven't found that out yet or haven't found their voice to be able to be like, oh, let me come up and promote myself. Let me come up and talk about whatever, because it might be a little bit deeper
Mm-hmm.
than I'm not taking advantage of the opportunity. I've probably now spoken at 100 or so different colleges, different ones, I'm sure 100, 150. No one will believe I failed speech.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you. But I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did, because I was not ready. And so what I'm trying to do at Black TV Film Crew with Family Freestyle Friday is help people get ready.
Right.
But they don't know. I come on there, hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl, Yasmin Shiraz. I'm high octane. I failed speech, people.
Mm-hmm.
I did, because I had words. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm trying to help them to get through that, because again, I've been there.
Absolutely.
I've been there.
And you know what? We all have a story, and we've all been through things. And you're absolutely right. There may be something else that's putting up that roadblock, and sometimes you have to do some deep self-exploration to figure out exactly what's going on. Well, I can't use the phrase that I use, but it's sometimes you got to go to a deep dark place to shed light on it.
Right.
You really do.
Right.
And
You do. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you just have to do that. And sometimes even when you're in that space, you have to say to yourself, okay, if I'm ever going to get out of this space, there's something that I need to do in order to do that. There has to be a first step. So even if you come in and say, hey, my name is such and such, I'm not going to do anything today, but I just wanted to say hello and let everyone know that I'm here. You always gotta because you had to take a first step. You had to say to yourself, you know what? As hurtful as what just happened between my parents, that's about them. It's not about me. First step, which allowed you to then get on a path where in your senior year, I'm hurt over what happened, but I'm good with what's happened because they have to work that out. I need to get me right. Let me go do this again. You
Right, but I wanna speak to the risk thing that you're saying.
Mhm.
I think that that's a powerful point, and I would love for us to underscore. If you're not taking risk, and this is not just for creative people. This is people in your life. Period. You have got to take risks. There's this quote that always floats in my head. You got to go out on the branches because that's where the fruit is. So you sit up there and you hugging the trunk of the tree. Guess what? You ain't getting any fruit.
That's right.
Okay. If you want a nice juicy papaya, you gotta go out on the branch. And it's something. It's so funny because I'll talk to people about, I'm in a writer's room for the first time and different things are happening, and they're sort of like, gosh, you get beat up, you keep beating yourself up, then you try something else and you keep getting beat up. And I said, I do get beat up a lot, but the other thing is I keep climbing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't allow yourself to take those risks and take those hits, you know what you're not doing? You're not experiencing anything new.
No.
Your life is the same day after day after day. I can't say that.
Mm-mm.
I can't say that. My thing is like, okay, I did this. Okay, now I'm doing this. I did this. And I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I encourage people, every no is a step closer to yes. So be not worried or concerned about how many no's you get.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other thing. Everybody who said no don't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Oh, look. Look. We could be here for another hour with that one. You have films that have been made that studios have passed on. And then when someone else says yes to it, everybody at the other studio ends up getting fired. And see, that's why you can't allow anyone to dictate your path. No means for me, and see, no for me years ago used to mean no. And I would get so down and like, oh man. But for me, no means not right now. That's all no is to me. Failure is the path to success for me. So, and this is why I stress personal development to filmmakers because, see, this is a learned behavior. You have to learn how to be successful and be in a successful mindset. Because, like we said earlier, you are going to get slaughtered with no's. Let me give you an example. I do the Philadelphia Independent Film Awards, formerly the Philadelphia Independent Film Awards. It is now the Independent Film. It's IFAP, whatever, for short. Now, I started it 6 years ago, and every year the show gets bigger and it gets better. That's not to toot my own horn. That's just the way we do it. We try to make it so it's an experience, right? We have never had sponsors, ever. And people say, well, how do you do this? Because I'm willing to put myself out there because this is something that I want. So if you're willing to put yourself out there and you are willing to take risk, because I remember when I first started my film company, my wife was like, you've never made a film. So what? That ain't got nothing to do with what I'm going to do. But people, like you said, they're so hesitant to want to step into it that they're dipping their toe, but they're not plunging into the river. And guess what? You'll never move if you don't do that. I can't stress that enough. I understand that you're scared.
It's a process, though.
Yeah, it is.
Process.
It's baby steps. It's baby steps.
It's baby steps, and for me myself, I mean, there have been things that I felt comfortable plunging into the river, as you say, and then other things just baby toe and so forth like that. So it's just a process, and I say as a creative, like as much as your creative work is work, it is also you uncovering yourself.
Absolutely.
And sort of and so if you got a lot of baggage or a lot of things that you're dealing with, that's hampering in a lot of ways your creativity. And so, it's just a process for everybody. You know what I mean? And I know there were times when, I was writing, a book a year, a script a year. Like I was really like prolifically, putting out content. Then I got to a point where a lot of the weight of life I needed to process. And so I couldn't create the same way.
Right.
And does that make me feel bad? I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm healing the inner person that needs to be healed, the person who I denied for so long.
Absolutely.
So it's just like our work is internal work. It's external work as well. And it's just that, like, that's just a reminder that, like you said, we got to exercise. We got to take care of ourselves. There's all these things that we have to do because that makes us better on a whole. But we have to deal with the whole person, and that impacts the risks that we're willing to take.
You're absolutely right. And I'll be the first to admit, I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time. And, I was at that place, years ago as an actor. I had to call my manager and say, I'm stepping back. Because, and she was like, what do you mean stepping back? I was like, I'm out. And I got out because I had to take care of me. I had to take care of my home life. I had to, get that balance back. So I need people to understand that you as a person is the most important thing first. You can always come back to this. And sometimes you actually need to step away to recharge your battery. It is what it is because we're all human, and sometimes things become overwhelming. So you got to step away from it.
I mean, when my husband passed, I have been married for a long time. He was truly my best friend, my confidant, the person who I went to for everything. I had so many trust issues going into my relationship. He was the person who really helped me grow up in a lot of ways. And so when he passed, I'm like having to rebuild who I am without this person. And there are people like, oh, I'm single. Yeah, I've done everything by myself. Good for you.
Absolutely.
Good for you. That's not been my experience. So now I'm literally building up the confidence to do the things that my husband was like, oh no, I'll take care of that. Oh no, I'll take care of that. You know what I mean? We were a team.
Right.
And so, whatever work that you have to do, you have to own the work that you have to do on yourself.
Absolutely.
And I find myself these past 2 years really becoming awakened again to stuff I didn't even know I had issues with. But when someone close to you passes that you were dependent upon, that you relied on, all of a sudden, all these wounds that you were able to put makeup on and pretend that they weren't there, guess what? The makeup is off. And that's where I find myself. So I'm really, like I said to you, before we came on, like I have good days and bad days, just trying to understand who I am and where I need to be and what my work needs to, needs to be. And Black TV Film Crew has helped center me. It's helped giving me my passion, giving me focus or what have you. But at the same time, I'm learning so much about myself because of what happened in the middle of creating Black TV Film Crew.
It's a rediscovery. It's a rebirth. And guess what? Rediscovery and rebirth is painful. It is painful because I had to go through some things myself. A lot of it self-inflicted. And when I had to turn that light on myself, what I saw was a lot that I did not like. So it was like your Steve, and then I'm aging myself. It was like your Steve Austin, the $6 million man, and you got to rebuild it. And for a lot of people, they don't have the tools to do that. And that's why there's nothing wrong with therapy. I highly, highly, highly recommend it because it works. But this has been an absolutely amazing conversation. I learned so much. But before we get out of here, I would like for you to tell everyone who is here with us live and for the people that will be listening on the rebroadcast where they can find you.
Well, I run Black TV Film Crew. So we're Black TV Film Crew on all social media. So if you want to support African Americans who work in TV and film, or you are someone who's in TV and film, please join that community. We are loving and supportive. We have a website. It's blacktvfilmcrew.com. If you want to know a little bit more about me, I have a website. It's yasminshiraz.net. And I also own .com because I'm an entrepreneur, so it would redirect. But it's Yasmin. That's right, YASMIN Shiraz SHIRAZ.net. And I'm super duper Yasmin on Instagram because sometimes I wear a cape and I want everyone to know. So I'm super duper Yasmin on Instagram and also obviously Black TV Film Crew on Instagram. I post more probably personal stuff on my personal Instagram. I don't post as much, but I just like these things, like what I'm going through with therapy. I'm hiking. I'm doing that self-discovery thing. I try to share those type of things on my personal Instagram.
And you know what? You didn't tell them about the YouTube channel.
Child, me and YouTube, this whole streaming thing, guys, listen, that's a whole nother conversation. We have a YouTube channel. Your girl is struggling. I just got to say this to all the folks out here, and hopefully you guys get this in the replay, and we're always looking for volunteers to help. Floyd, it is so much. You stream. You're on IG. You're on Facebook Live. Then you got to put it on your website. You got to YouTube it. People, it's 24 hours in a day.
It is.
We have a YouTube channel, and we're trying to get our numbers up. We just launched it to celebrate reaching 10,000 followers on Instagram. And so we are just now adding content. But I find myself, if I'm going to be real with everybody, running a platform and adding and repurposing content as quote unquote easy as it sounds, it's a lot of time investment. I try to put quotes up there to help people. I try to celebrate, I try to put inspiring people, things that people are doing, so you can say, oh, if so and so do it, I could do it too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always trying to feed that, is that bite-sized inspiration, that bite-sized motivation. It's a lot. But we do have a YouTube channel, and I do want you to subscribe.
Yes. And, I just will second, third, fourth, and fifth that. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot go wrong by becoming a member of the Black TV Film Crew. I have been in this space going on 15 years, and it's always refreshing to learn something new. And you know what's even better? You're learning it from someone who looks exactly like you. If we are not tooting our own horns, if we are not creating safe spaces where we can actually create, then why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I'm gonna tell you, like I said, I belong, I'm stuttering. I belong to a lot of film groups, but this is one of the best film groups out there. And I'm not just saying that because Yasmin is on this program. It is the absolute truth. It is a phenomenal, all of it, Facebook, Instagram. You learn so much. And I am so big on learning. As a filmmaker, as a creative, you should be in school every day. And if you are trying to get an education on how to do things the right way, from A to B, from soup to nuts, you definitely need to be on these platforms. And on that note, Yasmin, it has been such a pleasure to speak
I
with you
know.
again. I had you all to myself this time. Last time, I was on somebody else's program, so I had to
I
share.
know. So,
But this has been
yeah, but thank
awesome.
you. I didn't get to tell you I grew up in Delaware, so
Yeah. So
so
you
I
was
have that
right. You
whole
was
flip
right down. You
flop.
was right down the street from us. Philly in the
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah,
DE
exactly.
and everything. But you definitely have to keep us posted on, everything that you're doing. I follow you on both of your Instagrams and Facebook. So I like being newsy. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this was awesome. I truly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming on and taking a little time out of your day to spend with me and everyone else on a conversation with, because this is what it's all about, folks. It is about us bringing to you the people that look like us that are doing it in our space the right way. And on that note, everyone, please have a good night. And if you're going out, put on your mask and safe distance. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a phenomenal weekend. Peace.